Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. You know what time it is. It is Take Charge Tuesday with Tammy. Welcome today. I am super excited to be with you all here on today for Take Charge Tuesday with Tammy. This is the second session of the year. I am excited. I'm excited. Hey, Gwen, thank you for jumping on. Hey, Amber. Hi, Reed. It's Take Charge Tuesday with Tammy. Hi, Dennis. It's Take Charge Tuesday with Tammy, everyone. Hey, Vernon. Hey, LaDon. Thank you for jumping on. Hey, Tracy. I am excited as we have decided to take charge of our lives. Hi, Roderick. Hey, Patrina. Hey, Zena. Hello. Hi, Tony. We have decided to take charge in 2018 because we have sat on the sidelines long enough. Hey, Teddy. We have sat on the sidelines long enough, ladies, and it is time to take charge of our lives. It's time to take charge of our families. It's time to take charge of our faith. It's time to take charge of our finances. It's time to take charge of our fitness. So it is Take Charge Tuesday with Tammy, and we have another great topic on today. For those of you who may not be familiar with me, my name is Tammy L. Durton. I am the CEO of Tammy Durton International LLC, a training and development company. I am also the founder of Tammy Durton Ministries International. And guys, what I absolutely love and enjoy doing is empowering professional women to conquer setbacks and propel them forward to their divine destiny. And so on Take Charge Tuesday, I'll be sharing principles on how to take charge of your life. I'm beginning this session with my book. By the way, I'm also an author. I am the author of Get Up, Dust Yourself Off, and Win. Get Up, Dust Yourself Off, and Win is an empowerment tool that empowers you to push past setbacks and so that you can move forward and win in life. And so for the first several sessions of Take Charge Tuesday this year, I will be sharing principles, again, from my book, Get Up, Dust Yourself Off, and Win. Be sharing principles on how to overcome setbacks and win in life. And I am going to, hey, Norman. Hey, Delisa. Hey, Janie. Thank you for jumping on. Hi, Terrence. Thank you so much. I am going to see if I can invite a few more people to join us on today for Take Charge Tuesday. So how was your day, guys? I am blessed to be in Houston, Texas this week, and we are having some fantastic weather here today. Such a beautiful day today here in Houston, Texas. Absolutely wonderful day today. So I am enjoying the weather here in Houston, Texas. Just having a fabulous time. All right, so I invited a few more people to join us on Take Charge. Hey, Christina. Hey, Crystal. Thank you for joining. Invited a couple more people. And again, guys, today's topic, we're going to talk about acknowledging your truth. So we started with chapter 1 in the book. Again, Get Up, Dust Yourself Off, and Win. We began with chapter 1 last week. And chapter 1 is entitled Life Happens. And I don't know about you, but life happens to the best of us. It doesn't show favoritism. It doesn't pick and choose. It doesn't have favorites or any of that, but life happens to the best of us, whether it is loss of a loved one. I'm experiencing loss of a loved one this week. Loss of a loved one, whether it's a financial setback or challenge, whether it is a bad divorce, low self-esteem, or you were abused, whatever it is, life happens. And so we talked about that last week, and we talked about 3 things that you need to know when life happens. Number 1, know that you're not alone. Number 2, know that there is hope. Yes, Christina Lockett, there is hope. And number 3, quitting is not an option. Quitting is not an option. When you experience setbacks, no matter how hard it is, no matter how hurtful it may be, quitting is not an option. So that's what we talked about last week. And so, hey, Rhonda, my sister joined. It is her birthday today. Happy birthday, Rhonda, my big sister. Today is her birthday. Just wanted to publicly say happy birthday to you. Love you much. So we talked about chapter 1. Hey, Michelle, thank you for jumping on. Hey, Deirdre. So this week, today, we're going to move forward in the book to chapter 2. So if you have the book, you can follow along. But chapter 2 is the acknowledgement. So last week we talked about life happens. Now this week we're going to talk about chapter 2, the acknowledgement. Once you go through setbacks, the beginning of the healing process is acknowledging that acknowledging where you are in life, acknowledging your truth. And how many of you know that truth can be ugly? That truth can be hurtful. A lot of times we don't want to face it. I always say you have to face it to fix it. You've got to acknowledge your truth. It happened. Life happened, but you've got to face it to fix it. And so in many times in life, we sweep things under the rug and we hide behind excuses and hurt because we don't want to face it, because it does hurt, because it is embarrassing. Hey, Christy, thank you for joining. It is shameful, but we've got to face it to fix it. I can remember, and I shared part of my story on last week of how I owned a mortgage company. I was living the dream and so forth, and life happened to me. And a part of that story in my acknowledgement process and acknowledging what happened was a wake-up call for me. So I own the mortgage company. I saw the signs. I saw the market. Things were happening, but I didn't want to acknowledge what was going on. So I just, kept going on business as usual. But how many know there will come a time when you're going to have to face it, when you're going to have to acknowledge that thing, that setback, that challenge that you're going through. And so it came a point in my business, I lost clients, the mortgage industry, there was a crisis in it, and it came a point where I didn't have enough money to meet payroll for that particular pay period to pay my staff. And so I went to my home, again, the big sprawling 3,700 square foot home on the lake. I went there, I gathered as many things of value that I had, and I took them to the pawn shop so that I could have money to meet payroll. Now, I don't know about you, but that was a point of acknowledgement for me, that I had to acknowledge that I was in trouble, that the business was failing, the market was crashing, and I had to acknowledge it. It was no more ignoring it. It was no more hiding it. It was no more running away from it, but I had to acknowledge what happened. And so again, acknowledging your truth is the beginning of the healing process. What I want to share with you from the book today, 4 principles of acknowledging your truth. 4 principles of acknowledging your truth. And so the first thing that you need in order to heal and to push past that setback and acknowledging your truth is humility. Humility. It is an humbling process, and you better believe that it was an humbling process for me, the business owner, the entrepreneur, the one on top of my game, to have to go home and gather items of value in my home and take it to the pawn shop so that I could pay my staff, so that I can meet payroll. And so in order to acknowledge your truth, where you are, again, no matter how ugly it is, no matter how shameful it is, whether it is mental illness, whether it is, again, a bad divorce or loss of a loved one, no matter how hurtful it is, with the acknowledgement process, you've got to humble yourself and acknowledge your truth and where you are. Oftentimes, pride stops us from acknowledging our truth. We don't want anyone to know how bad things are. We don't want anyone to know that we failed or that we messed up or we did it wrong or life just happened to us. Sometimes I know people that go through, they've been diagnosed with a terminal illness and they don't want people to know. But how many of you know that the beginning of the process of healing is acknowledgement and humbling yourself to the point where you're not ashamed of it, where you're not sweeping things under the rug, where you don't allow humiliation to cause you to hurt in silence, because many of us are hurting in silence. Hey, Angela, thank you for joining. Hey, Siobhan, thank you for joining. Many of us are hurting and hiding, and we're hurting in silence because we're allowing our pride to not let us acknowledge our truth and where we are. And guys, guess what? Where we are and what we're going through isn't any different than anything that anybody else has gone through. So there's no need for us to hide in shame, to hide in humiliation. And trust me, I did it. I hid for a long time with all of the things that I was going through. I didn't want anybody to know that I was losing my house and didn't have anywhere to live, or that the repo man had came and picked up my car, and now I'm scuffling and trying to get more transportation because I had never been at that point before. So yes, I was humiliated, and yes, I was ashamed, and I hid for a while. But there came a point where I had to acknowledge my truth. This is what it is. And in order for me to heal and push past this, I have to acknowledge where I am. I have to humble myself and be truthful with myself. And so that's what we're talking about today, acknowledging your truth. This is the beginning of the healing process and conquering those setbacks and moving forward to living your greatest life now. So who's my scribe today? Did somebody type principle number 1 in for me? Humility. These are 4 principles for acknowledging your truth. Number 1 is humility. If somebody can type that for me. Hey, Thisha, thank you for jumping on. Number 1 is humility. Number 2 is honesty. And again, these principles are from the book, Get Up, Dust Yourself Off and Win. Number 2 is honesty with yourself and others. If you want to acknowledge your truth, if you really are serious about healing from that thing that you've gone through, you are going to be honest with yourself and honest with others. And so that means at the end of the day, we have to stop lying to ourselves, ladies. We have to stop lying to ourselves, but we've got to begin to face the truth. It happened. We've got to stop pretending. And trust me, I was the best of the best at pretending that I still had it all together, pretending that everything was still good, and I was torn up from the inside out. There was a silent scream going on the inside of me every day because I was lying to myself. I wasn't being honest with myself. I wasn't being honest with others. So if you want to heal from your past hurts and wounds, it begins with acknowledging your truth and being honest with yourself and being honest with others. So if your spouse, your mate, hurt you, be honest about it. When he says, "What's wrong with you?" Don't say, "Oh, nothing. I'm good. I'm all right." No, be honest. Say what's wrong. Say what happened. You're in a friendship with your sister friend and somebody said something out of the way to each other, and you don't quite like what was said or how she treated you. Be honest about it, right? Because you've got to face it to fix it. And one of the quotes that I love in the book, it says, "Don't allow the fear of exposure to hold you hostage and live a fabricated life." Don't allow the fear of exposure, of your ugly truth being exposed. Don't allow that to keep you in bondage and live a fabricated life. Some of us, we're living lies day in and day out. And as long as the perception is okay and we think people see us in a certain image, we keep the lie going. But it's time to tell the truth. It's time to, take off the mask, right? Because we're hiding behind, a lot of us, a mask of lies. I did it. I'm telling you, I know. Our annual Get Up, Dust Yourself Off and Win conference is October the 6th this year. And that is our theme, taking off the mask. It's time to take off the mask. It's time to stop lying to ourselves and lying to our others. If we want to heal and push forward to live our greatest life now, to be our highest and best selves, we've got to do it. We've got to do it. We've got to be honest with ourselves, and we've got to be honest with others. So we are talking about, hey Norman, thank you for joining. We are talking about acknowledging your truth. If you want to heal from your past, you've got to acknowledge your truth. The first thing, you have to have humility. The second principle, be honest with yourself and others. The third one is accountability. Somebody type that in the notes for me. Hey Bruce, thank you for joining. Bruce. Accountability. We've got to be accountable. We've got to take responsibility for our actions. Okay, I know that we're hurt. I know that we didn't ask for the trouble, but let's be honest. Sometimes we played a role in things that happen in our lives, and we've got to be accountable for that. We want to blame the other person. We want to play the victim. But what was my part in it? When the story about the mortgage industry and me having to go pawn the items in my home to pay my staff, but I saw the signs, but I failed to take action. I failed to do anything about it. So I had to hold myself accountable for it. Although I was experiencing loss and all of these negative emotions, but at the end of the day, I had to acknowledge my part in it and take accountability for the actions that I did or did not in the situation. And so that stems from being honest with ourselves. So all the way from humbling ourselves to facing our truth, to being honest with ourselves, now holding ourselves accountable. Because when you can face that truth and be accountable to say, you know what? I saw the signs in the relationship. I had an idea of what was going on, but I chose to stay in the relationship, right? Because ladies, we always want to blame the other party when we know when something's not going right in the relationship. And then when things fall apart, then we want to put all the blame on the other person, when really we've got to hold ourselves accountable for our part in it. So we got to take responsibility. Stop being bitter and become better, and hold yourself accountable. Admit what your part was in it. Ask yourself questions. You know, what could I have done better? Because at the end of the day, it's a learning experience. Everything that we go through, every situation, every setback, it is a learning experience. And ultimately, every setback is simply a setup it's a step up actually to the next dimension in your life, because through every circumstance and situation, you're going to get stronger. You're going to get better. If you learn the lesson from each situation and each setback, it's going to make you stronger and better. So let's be accountable. Now, the fourth and final principle that I want to share with you. Did somebody type accountability in the notes for me? Accountability. All right. So 1, humility. Number 2, to acknowledge your truth. Be honest with yourself and others. The third principle is accountability. Be accountable and take your responsibility in the part that you played in the situation. The fourth and final principle is unselfishness. Unselfishness. Being unselfish. So if I'm acknowledging my truth, I've got to be unselfish in this situation. What do I mean by be unselfish? The fact of the matter is, it's not always about me. It's not always about you, right? Someone is depending on you to face your truth. Someone is actually watching you, whether it's your children, whether it is people at your church, whether it is co-workers on your job, someone is watching you. And so we must be unselfish to the point where we stop denying what has happened, where we come clean, and where we acknowledge our truth, because other people are depending on us. Other people are depending to see that light in us. Other people, our children, our families are depending on us to live a life that they can, whether it is see Jesus Christ in us, whether they can model a positive lifestyle from. Other people are depending on us. So while we're being selfish and wallowing in self-pity and woe is me and it wasn't my fault, the time now is to acknowledge your truth. Let it go. Face it to fix it. If you want to heal from your past hurts, if you want to progress forward to live your greatest life now is the time to acknowledge your truth, face it, fix it, move forward, and leap into your destiny and live the life that God has designed and created you to live. So thank you so much for watching. If someone can type unselfishness in the comments for me, I so greatly appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If you're watching live now, I appreciate you. If you're watching the replay, I appreciate you. I look forward to seeing you next Tuesday at 6:30 Central Standard Time for Take Charge Tuesday with Tammy. And remember, whatever you do, keep winning. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye, everyone.